Okay, baby Sky. We're ready when you are. We're ready when you are. It is February 16th? February 16th. We're 2 days past your due date. And we're just hanging tight. You seem to be very comfortable, so hanging tight. We're just bouncing on the ball. This ball is bouncing on the ball. Oh, my back hurts. My hips hurt. That's it.
Okay, Mom.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Look at you, Sky.
Sky Elisa Bean.
Look at you, big girl.
Daddy Tyler.
Baby Sky.
Holding his baby girl. How does it feel, Ty?
Feels crazy.
You're a dad. Welcome to the Dad Club. Say hi. She stuck up her hand like she was saying hi.
Say hi, Mama. Hi, Mama.
Don't be cranky for the video. There's no way you're so hungry. Did she have the zoomies earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Daddy birthday good enough? Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Something is new here and it's this bubbling head on my chest. This is so crazy, but she's here. I had my baby and today I'm going to be sharing my birth story with you guys. I personally loved watching positive birth stories before giving birth. It really helped me go into it with like a good mindset and know what to expect. So I'm really excited to be sharing my positive natural birth story with you guys. Yeah, it's like, where do I even start? So just to fill you guys in on where we're at now, we are 2 weeks postpartum, literally to the day. I gave birth 2 weeks ago today to this beautiful little nugget. And it was a wild ride. I want to preface this video with a few things. First being, it was a natural birth. Second being, I did a lot of birth preparations. If you guys want to see what I did to prepare for birth, that was my previous video. And I think I filmed that like a week before I gave birth. And I also had a birth plan / preferences. And I can kind of get into my thoughts about that because I know a lot of people are like, you know, they say like, oh, don't have a plan, it's pointless, things go, and it's true. So I want to just give my insight on that too. I also want to preface this video with saying that I'm going to be very honest about my experience. It's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies, and if you are about to have a baby, sorry, the mom brain is like, I also have not talked or like put makeup on in a few weeks or talked to a camera in a few weeks, so bear with me if this is a little trying to get back into the groove of things. But the last 2 weeks I've literally have been in a robe, not putting on real clothes, wearing diapers, and just like eating and sleeping and showering, or trying to sleep. So this is the first like work related thing I'm doing. I think that bird has one leg. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to be very honest, very real. Before I went into labor, I was very conscientious about what birth stories I was listening to and what I wasn't. I really didn't want to hear anything negative at all, or anything about pain. So if that's you, you know, make your own decision. I want everyone to, what's the word I'm looking for? I think everyone should use their own discernment, you know, when it comes to consuming what type of content they're consuming. I was very sensitive to stuff before going into labor. I didn't want to have any sort of preconceived notions. Like, I worked really hard to go into it with a positive mindset, and I didn't want anything to kind of derail that. So this is my warning to you. If you're planning on going natural, or you're already having anxiety about it, or you're scared about the pain, I'm gonna be very honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. So if you'd rather go into it and like not hear my story or my side of things, this is your time to stop watching. Was it, I don't know how to like, I don't want to scare anyone. That's my biggest fear, is I don't want to scare anyone, but I also want to share my truth. So we're just gonna go for it. With that being said, everyone has different pain tolerances. Everyone's body is different. Like, I've seen a lot of women be like, I didn't feel any pain at all. I literally just felt like a sensation, and that's amazing. Good for them. However, we'll get into it. Okay, so now that my disclaimers have been said, I did have a natural birth. I did have a plan to have a natural birth. However, I was very open and allowed myself to make a game time decision. That was it from the jump. I was not going to stick to something just because I wanted to stick to something, or because I had anything to prove to anyone or to prove to myself. I was purely like, I will try it, and if I get there and I'm not handling the pain well, or I'm over it, I'm gonna get an epidural. And that's 100% what I did. Well, I didn't get the epidural, but that's like, that plan pretty much played out exactly as I intended it to. I did take a hypnobirthing course. I think that helped me immensely. I wouldn't say it helped me as much as I thought it would towards like active labor. I thought I'd be able to breathe out my baby more than push out, but at some point the body just took over for me, and I did not utilize hypnobirthing as much during active labor as I thought I would, but I did very much benefit from it during early labor. And also, I think just in general, like overall, I think my labor benefited from what I learned, from the safety and security that knowledge brought me, the fact that I went into birth feeling confident and safe versus feeling anxiety and scared. I think all of that and all of that mindset helps contribute to, one, labor starting naturally and avoiding having to get induced, which I really didn't want to get induced, medically at least. And then two, it helps your body continue to labor naturally versus stalling out, because you're producing hormones that are feel-good hormones and your body feels safe. And all that mindset work and mental preparation that I did with hypnobirthing helped my body to get to that place. So I ended up being in labor for about 12 hours. I was in the hospital for 7. So like from the start of my early labor to giving birth, which was about 12 hours. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. So my due date was February 14th. Had to make sure she's breathing. My due date was just new mom things. Due date was February 14th, Valentine's Day. I always knew from the jump that that date is just a range. In my head, I was very open to her coming 2 weeks before that date or 2 weeks after that date. So I kind of already knew she wasn't going to come on that date. Fun fact, I think it's like only 5%. So a very small percentage of births actually happen on their due date. So that's a fun fact. So Friday came and passed, nothing happened. I was not surprised. And then Saturday, I had contractions for about 2 hours, but they were 15 minutes apart. I had texted my doula, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I'm having contractions. They said, you know, let us know how the next few hours go, if they progress, yada yada, if your water breaks, whatever. That didn't end up happening, so I proceeded as normal. Saturday, they kind of slowed down. Like, I went to sleep, they went away, and then Sunday came and everything was normal. Went about my day Sunday, and towards the evening I started getting the kind of the same contractions, about 15 minutes apart, and they weren't like anything crazy. Like, I could just feel them. They kind of felt similar to like my Braxton Hicks contractions, a little more intense though, so that's kind of how I knew, like, okay, these are different from those, like, and you can just feel the difference, and they're pretty consistent. So I kind of knew within the next few days things might be brewing. And then Monday morning I woke up around 7:38, and my contractions were happening like every 6 minutes, so 6 minutes apart. And at that point I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I'm in labor, early labor. I laid in bed for like an hour. Me and Tyler were timing them. So yeah, that was pretty much the start of my labor. What I would assume is that I was in early labor throughout the night, but the contractions just weren't strong enough for me to feel them, which, like, bless, I love that I labored during the day and like woke up and pretty much was in labor and then had my baby at night. Like, I love that timeline. I said from the beginning I want to have her during the day, because just like the thought of going to the hospital at 3:30 in the morning just kind of scared me. I don't know, I'm just like scared of the dark. But so yeah, woke up 8 a.m. contractions were 6 minutes apart. They were definitely more intense, getting more intense than the night before. And I told Tyler, texted my doulas, I'm like, I think it's happening. And I had already had an OB appointment set for Monday morning at 11:30, because, you know, my due date was Friday, but they pretty much just set an appointment for after, in case baby doesn't come yet, just to check her heart rate and check on me and make sure everything's all good. So I already had that appointment set for Monday. And then it was just a matter of like, well, do we just go to my appointment and see how things are progressing there, or do we wait and go to the hospital? But I had decided, because my practice, my OB office is literally in the same parking lot as my hospital, I was like, let's just go to my appointment and see what they say. So that one, I can get checked and I'll just like know where I'm at and we can make a decision based on that. So the next few hours I proceeded as normal. The only thing I pretty much did those next few hours, I was like waiting to just leave at that point because they were getting more intense. I ate a really good sandwich. Tyler made me a really good breakfast sandwich, and now I call it the labor sandwich. It was like a sausage, egg, and cheese. So good. It literally got me through labor because I didn't eat anything until Jimmy John's after I gave birth. So I ate an awesome breakfast, and then I gave myself a blowout because I'm like, if I'm going in labor, I should have a blowout. So I did that, and then I got dressed and like kind of just waited around until we had to leave for my appointment. I was just, at this point, I was breathing through my contractions very well. I was using my HypnoBirthing techniques. I was staying relaxed, not letting my body tense up. And then I was on my birth ball a little bit too, just like moving my body, moving my hips. And then we left for the appointment. On the way there, we're like 10 minutes out, and Tyler's like, I forgot my wallet. I'm like, of course you did. And he literally goes to turn around and I'm like, you can't turn around, like, leap. Godspeed. We gotta just keep on going because I can't, like, we can't delay this process. Things are ramping up and they're ramping up fast. At this point, I couldn't really talk through my contractions. So like I hired a doula and she is supposed to like come to your house, labor with you, but things like were progressing so fast that she ended up just meeting us at the hospital. But one of the things they say is a sign, because usually like doulas will suggest that you labor at home for as long as you can and then go to the hospital, instead of going to the hospital, it being too early, them sending you home and like dealing with all that. But one of the signs that they say when it's time to go is that your contractions get to the point where you can't really talk through them. So I was already there on the way to the appointment. So we go. Thank God there was no one in the office. I was like so nervous about like other people being there and me being in labor and just like having contractions in an office full of people, but no one was there. Thank God. I went to the office lady and I was like, so I'm pretty sure I'm in active labor. And she's like, right now? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, let's get you in. I was like, yes, bestie, let's get me in, please. So I go in, I meet with my midwife. She checks me. I was 5 centimeters dilated already, which is perfect because that's like pretty much where they want you to be when you check into a hospital anyways. And I was 80% effaced. So I was ready to go. She was primed. She was ready. So my doula at that point was like, okay, yeah, you're ready to go. You can head on over to the hospital, or if you want, you can grab something to eat since you won't really be able to eat again. Like, now's your last opportunity to eat a good meal. She's like, or you can like walk around the parking lot. And I was like, yeah, okay, maybe we'll do that. And then I was like, no, we need to go get checked into a room because, like, again, things are ramping up fast. So we go to the hospital, get checked into our room, and at this point I'm still breathing through my contractions. I'm handling the pain, in my opinion, pretty well. I also, like, you know, have nothing to compare to at that point, so I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm like breathing through them. We get checked into the room. They put, you know, all the stuff on me, and because of my birth preferences, like more of a natural birth, as least amount of medical interventions as possible, I denied an IV because then it kind of like limits your movement, and I wanted to be able to like labor freely in different positions. So they had to put the port in, like that's just like standard protocol just for emergency, so that the port is already in your arm. But I didn't get an IV. They put the port in, and then for the monitoring, instead of putting like the belly bands, they put a wireless one, so that way I could wear it in the tub. There was a laboring tub in the hospital, which was one of my preferences too, and that way you don't have to stay like strapped up to the thing and you have more movement. So they got me all set up on the monitoring so they could watch her heart rate. Yeah, they got me all set up, and I want to say for the next, like, we checked in at 12. I want to say the next like 12 to 3 I was having contractions just in the bed. They were progressing, they were getting much more intense, but for like 3 hours. By the time we checked in, got settled, and I sat there for a little. Oh, my water ended up breaking there. I don't know what happened. I think I was like, I'm not sure if my water broke yet, and then they went to check, and my nurse went to check, and she was like, cough, and then I think it broke right then and there, and I just felt it all come out, and we were like, oh, okay, now it broke. So then, yeah, after it broke, things started picking up even more. Contractions got more intense, and I was sitting there kind of upright in the bed for like another 2 hours, just having my contractions. At that point, I wanted to switch up positions, so I decided to get in the tub, and I was there probably from like 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., about an hour. Things really ramped up in there. That was, I think, when my like breathing techniques kind of started to go out the window, because it was just so intense that the only thing I could even focus on was just getting through them somehow. I kind of like checked out mentally at this point too. Like Tyler, it was just me and Tyler in the bathroom, and I had like my blue like light. I had also, in my preferences, I had like the shades down, so it was a dark room, and I had like a little blue nightlight that I loved, and it's just like moody. I had that going and like my meditation music going, and it was just me and Tyler, and I like could not even look at him because I was just so in it. Like at that point it's kind of just like survival. And yeah, I also feel like things were so intense for me because my contractions felt very back to back. Even my doula was like, you're not getting like any relief in between your contractions, like they are happening back to back. And I think it's a good and bad thing. I think my labor was like as short as it was because of that, but I also think it was more intense and more painful because of that, because again, I was not getting any relief in between. So I was in the tub for about an hour. Tyler was like really good, telling me his little like affirmations, like being my cheerleader. But at that point I was like, I barely was even looking at him. I was just going through it. And then I got out of the tub. So like from 5 to 6, these are loose numbers, but this is like about the time frame that everything was happening. I got out of the tub, went back to the bed from like 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. just laboring there, contractions picking up. At this point I was like on all fours versus laying flat down. That's another thing, like typical births you lay flat on your back, and I just wanted to be moving. Like I'm very in touch with my body, I'm very in tune, I danced for a long time, and I just wanted to be in positions that felt good for me and like make that decision in the moment versus being like stuck to a bed in one position. So I think I was like on all fours for this hour, and I was struggling pretty hard, and I asked to be checked because I was like, okay, I need to gauge where I'm at, right? Like how close are we to the finish line here? So I asked my nurse, she checked me, and I was only 6 centimeters. And that was a moment for me that I was like, oh, I was so disappointed. I was like, how have I only opened up 1 more centimeter like a few hours later and like all these contractions later? So that definitely was like disappointing for me. And at that point is when I started to consider getting an epidural, because I was like, oh hell no, if all that only got me 1 centimeter closer, I can't do the rest naturally. Like I need some help, I need relief, I need something. So at that point I started like thinking about it, and then I want to say like another 30 minutes went by, and I was like, another 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I don't really know, but I thought about it for a while, and then finally I was like, I can't do it anymore. Give me the epidural. Like I can't do it. At that point I was like really trying to think about how I could like honor myself and my body best, and I felt like to not give myself some sort of relief would have been doing a disservice to me and my birth experience. So I felt like that was the best decision for me in that moment. So I asked for it, they get the anesthesiologist and they get all the people, and I actually found out that she was on her way home and she turned around to come give me it. And so she gets there, she starts telling me all the risks, blah blah blah, da 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 da. It's all kind of a blur, and I'm like listening while I'm going through contractions, and they get me in position, like kind of leaning over. You have to lean over on the bed. And the crazy thing is that I forgot to mention this when I was in the tub, but my body started naturally pushing when I was in the tub. So like when I was 6 centimeters, with my contractions, my body was just pushing, which I was not expecting for that to have that urge like that early. But I was like, oh, my body's ready. Like it is trying to get this baby out of me. So when I was leaning over for the epidural, like that whole time up, like from that point to that point, I kept having this natural urge to just push. And I was telling them, I'm like, my body wants to push, and they're like, don't deny your body of that, like do what feels natural. So I was like, okay, full send. So I was like bent over, like on the bed, seconds away from getting the epidural, and I think the team could tell I was hesitant a little bit. I know they definitely knew that my plan was to have a natural birth, and they could feel my hesitation. And also what I said is like, I feel like I just want to push right now. Like, I don't know if we're too far along for this, because my body is wanting to push. So my nurse, her name is Jackie, she's a godsend. She was like, do you want me to just check you one more time just in case? Because you could have progressed really fast. Like, let's just check. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's check. She checked, and I was at 8.5 centimeters. So like the last 30 or 45 minutes, I dilated another 2.5 centimeters, which was amazing news. And at that point, I was like, fuck, I'm already 8.5. I did this whole thing already naturally. I'm like, I'm so close, because you can start pushing at 10 for those who might not know. I was like, ugh, I'm so close. So I thought about it for like 10 seconds. Everyone was like quiet, like just looking at me, waiting for me to make a decision. And I was like, no, nope, I'm not getting it. Let's do this. Let's fucking do this. And they were like, okay, all right, we're doing it. It was like such a defining moment in my birth story because it was seconds away from getting the epidural. And I'm sure it would have been fine if I did, but like at that point, one, I would have had to stay on my back for the rest of labor, because when you get that, you have to stay on your back. And two, it's like I made it so far. I was almost there, and considering how much more dilated I got in the last like 30 to 45 minutes, I was like, it could only, they were saying too, it could only be another 30 minutes or so. Like, things are progressing very fast. So I was like, all right, no epidural, let's just do this. So what they did offer me is nitrous, which is like kind of like a laughing gas, I think. And they were like, we'll do nitrous, that will get you through to the end. Like, it's gotten a lot of people through to the end, especially for like natural. And I was like, okay, whatever, just give me something. So they gave me that as like some sort of form of relief, and I feel like it did help. I mean, it didn't like necessarily take the pain away. Oh, hello. Yeah, we're talking about you, girlfriend. So yeah, it didn't necessarily take any pain away, but it kind of just helped me manage it better. And they gave it to you in like a gas mask, and I was like puffing on that thing like it was going out of style. I didn't even know what it was. I was just like but it did help me. Like, it kind of was like, ooh, but whatever. I was like, something needs to give me relief, dear God. But that helped me get through it. It also was like helping me just like breathe in general, like remember to breathe and take long deep breaths, because that's like how you breathe in the medication. So I got that, and then before I knew it, my midwife checked me. I was at 10 centimeters, and she was like, we're ready to rock and roll, you can start like pushing for real now. And I was like, hell yes, brother, let's get into it. And I started pushing, and it's like, it wasn't the kind of pushing where they're like coaching you through the pushing. It was just like with each contraction, I was letting my body naturally push, which again, which was one of my preferences. Like, I don't want to be coached through anything, just let my body do what it naturally knows what to do. So I would say for like an hour, Tyler says maybe an hour and a half, I was pushing, something around that. Just with each contraction, I was just full on pushing with all my might. And it like, actually it was my body pushing, it wasn't even me pushing. Like, my body was just doing the work. I did incorporate some hypnobirthing at this point, with like breathing her down. I was like breathing / pushing, and kind of just trying to incorporate some of that stuff that I learned. Oh, and the odd thing is I actually felt the most amount of relief at this stage in between my contractions, because I think they were further apart. Like, I think they might have been more like 10 minutes apart versus before it felt like back to back. So they were about 10 minutes apart, and I didn't feel as much pain in between them. Like, it was literally just like painless, and then like, okay, time to push. And then I'd get a break, and then it was like time to push. So I was thankful that I was feeling some sort of relief at that point in between. And at that point, I was like able to look at Tyler again in his eyes, and like I was cracking jokes with the team, and I was like, you know, just trying to lighten up the mood. Everything is so intense, and you have like a whole team of people just staring up your asshole. And you know, I'm just like not that serious of a person, so I was definitely like cracking jokes at that point, like trying to make myself laugh, trying to make like other people laugh. And sure enough, after I don't even know how many pushes, if I had to guess, like 10, maybe more, I don't know, she came. And yeah, that was it. I tore like I had like a tier 1 tear, something like that, like just a 1st degree tear, and it wasn't bad at all. But yeah, she came out, they put her on my chest, we did skin to skin for like an hour. She latched on immediately for breastfeeding, which was like such a blessing. And then they pretty much left us alone for like, well, okay, so before that we waited for the cord to become white because that was also birth preference. And if it's helpful, I can make a whole video about my birth preferences and my birth plan, or just talk more about it in general. Just let me know in the comments or let me know on Instagram. So waited for the cord to get white, Tyler cut the cord, and then I birthed my placenta out. That was interesting. Kind of felt similar to birthing out my baby, except much less painful, and it was just one push and it came out very easily. And then yeah, the next hour they pretty much left us alone, let us do skin to skin. She was nursing that whole golden hour, and then they came back, took all her measurements, weighed her. She was 7 pounds and 6 ounces and 20 and a half inches long. So she's a tall girl. And yeah, that's my birth story, you guys. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, literally. I'm so proud of myself, not just because I did it naturally, but just the whole thing. Like, I'm so proud of myself, my body, the preparation I did, everything. And would I do it? Everyone's like, would you do it again naturally? And I think I would do the same thing. I would try, and I'd give myself the freedom to make a game time decision, and that's it. Like, I don't think you have to stick to one versus the other. You don't have to say, oh, I'm getting an epidural for sure, or oh, I'm going all natural for sure. Like, have a plan for what you want to aim for, and then just have grace with yourself and let yourself benefit from our medical like miracles. Honestly, like, I don't see anything wrong with one way or the other. Am I thankful that I was able to do it naturally? Yes. I think a lot of my healing has been smoother because of it being natural. My biggest thing is I really didn't want to get induced, because that kind of can trickle down into like a lot of other interventions happening. But I feel really good about, you know, my decisions, and it was great. I had a doula also. I swear by doulas. We had such a good experience with our doula. Tyler was like, whatever we paid her, pay her double, because she was just amazing. And my team of doctors, not even doctors, like my midwife delivered her, and my team of nurses were amazing and so sweet. Like, I feel really lucky and blessed that we had such good care, because that makes such a difference. And I'm just so thankful that like we had such a great experience with our medical team. And yeah, and then we stayed there the next 2 days, and it was pure bliss. We decided not to have any visitors, which everyone is so like surprised about, but I don't know, I just wanted it to just be the 3 of us. I wanted it to be me, Tyler, and Sky, and have that like very sacred time to just bond for the first 48 hours of life. I didn't want anything distracting from that. It is like such a sacred time. So it was just like, yeah, it was just the 3 of us for the next 2 days. It was pure bliss. Like, I feel like I was in a little bubble, like an alternate universe, and it was perfect. It was just absolutely perfect, and I loved my experience. And I'm so happy she's finally here with us. Her hair is like sticking out. But yeah, that is my birth story, you guys. I am so thankful for a healthy delivery, a healthy baby, a healthy me. She actually has her 2-week appointment today at her pediatrician, but everything is all good. She passed all her tests with flying colors, and yeah, it's just been so much fun learning how to be a parent, learning how to take care of a baby. We're, you know, getting as much sleep as we can. That's a whole other video I can try to make. Are you comfortable in there? Just about like what our schedule has looked like and sleep schedule and all that fun stuff. But that is about it for my birth story. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know a lot of you are new and have started following me during pregnancy, so I hope you enjoy this and I hope you stick around. Let me know if there's any other, you know, content you guys want to see from me. I'm slowly getting back into the groove of things. Tyler started work again today, so that's kind of helps me also get ready to start work again too, and yeah, adjust to this new period of life and motherhood. But thanks for watching. Make sure you guys like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.